Hey everybody, Jeff Oriama here. Why isn't GraphQL one language? Maybe this is news to you, but GraphQL is, practically speaking, two languages, kind of dressed up in a trench coat. There's a query language, and there's the schema definition language. Together, we call these GraphQL. This is a deliberate design choice and makes a lot of sense when you dive into the details. Here are some simple snippets. On the left is the schema definition language, or SDL, showing a post type. On the right is the query language, showing a document containing a query operation. The query language says, here's a representation of the data I want. A query fetches data. A mutation changes and fetches data. A subscription fetches real-time data through a persistent connection. And a fragment is not really an operation type on its own, but it's a unit of data composition. Note that there are type variables, arguments, and fields. Also note that operations and fragments can be named. Contrast this with the schema definition language, the SDL. It should be familiar to people who use statically typed languages. We see keywords like enum, interface, type, implements. Union types are implemented, and there are directed declarations. Okay, we've had a look at both. The SDL looks kind of like a type definition file in TypeScript, and the query language looks more like JSON. These are different, but they are inseparable. Why? Well, because description and retrieval are different concerns. SDL helps the developer create a contract between the client and the server, or more precisely, a contract between an operation and its resolvers. The query language is there to navigate that contract. It expresses the data needs of an application or agent. There are similarities. Both languages share the same vocabulary. If the SDL says there's a post available on a query operation and says there's a directive @foo available on fields, the query language can include those, and that operation will be valid. One hand washes the other. But the differences are important. We don't see interface in a query, for example, or types in a query, because a client can't unilaterally change the terms of the contract it has through the schema. It can consume the type system, which is why you do see polymorphism in queries, like that shown on the screen, but it should never have the tools to define the type system as a consumer. The query language needs the constraints that the SDL imposes. This partnership between query language and schema definition language is especially evident when you look at code generation. For clients consuming GraphQL, they can look at the operations they're defining in the query language, look them up in the SDL, and create static types in their language of choice. Here's a trivial example in TypeScript. The differences work out because they're designed to be used together, while imposing common sense restraints that remove foot guns. That's what makes GraphQL unique, even among other API standards. It contains the means to both describe an API and standardize how to request data from it. As I was making this video, I had a thought. There are a lot of hot takes out there about GraphQL in the ecosystem. People love it, people hate it. I wonder how much that has to do with whether you're dealing with SDL or the query language on a day-to-day basis. What do you think? Do you prefer writing schemas or consuming them? Let me know. That's it for now. See you next time.